in Japan, and it's a busy schedule ahead of him during that visit, where he'll also, of course, be meeting the Japanese Prime Minister, Mr. Fumio Kishida, and having bilaterals with members of the Quad, including President Joe Biden and the newly appointed Australian Prime Minister from the Labour Party, Mr. Albanese. Those engagements will be taking tomorrow, but today he's of course meeting members of the Indian diaspora later on in the day in Tokyo, and he's already had a series of meetings with leaders from the business community in Japan, including of course the chairman of the NEC Corporation and Suzuki, among others. As many as 23 bilateral engagements have been lined up for the Prime Minister.
The National Security Advisor are present over here, and they're going to be accompanying Prime Minister Modi. He's inside this very vehicle. This is his entire convoy at the hotel in Tokyo where he's currently staying, and this is perhaps the most important part of the Prime Minister's visit here to Tokyo, because apart from the Quad Summit, for the first time we are seeing, and you can see the Prime Minister there leaving in this vehicle. He is in fact going to be meeting with the US President, and for the first time, in terms of trade, there is going to be an Indo-Pacific Economic Partnership that is going to come into effect. Many have questioned at times what the Quad really stands for, and this particular Indo-Pacific Economic Partnership is being seen as a very important step in the four countries coming together and really giving it a solid form in terms of actual cooperation when it comes to trade. Of course, there is a lot more work to be done. Cooperation in different areas, from healthcare, from battling COVID, from the security aspects of it. All of those issues are certainly very important areas of concern as well. But for the Prime Minister, this is a very, very important aspect, and for India as well, looking at it from the perspective of trade and how these countries can come together for better economic cooperation. Remember, already all of these three countries are very important trading partners as far as India is concerned, not just the United States, not just Japan, but even Australia, and there is scope for growth. There are a number of areas in which these countries hope to work better, whether it is clean energy, whether it is climate change, whether it's information technology, whether it's exchange of high-end technology. All of these are important areas of cooperation when it comes to all of these countries. But economic cooperation of these countries further on from here is also going to be something very important to watch out for, because this is clearly a form that will be getting to know in the next 10 to 15 minutes when that announcement is formally made. Already a very radical China, and one can understand, because China is not just worried about and concerned about this from the security point of view. China also sees this as a huge threat for it, economically speaking. So that's why there's no surprise when Wang Yi comes out and tries to give these kind of statements. The Chinese foreign minister comes out and gives these statements that it is bound to fail even before the formal announcement of such a partnership takes place. So clearly a rattled China over there will be very closely watching all of these developments, because clearly when it comes to Quad, when it comes to the cooperation of these four countries, it's certainly, of course, one of the major areas and issues of concern certainly is China and its entire expansionist policies, and also hitting China where it hurts the most when it comes to issues such as trade, an area where China really believes is one of its strong points. With this kind of cooperation taking place, what will this really mean for India and the three other partners of the Quad? That's what we'll have to watch out for. So in just a few minutes from now, we expect that all-important meeting to begin. It's at 4:30 local time here in Tokyo. So very, very important meeting that we'll have to watch out for.
Right, that was Madhavdas Gopal Krishnan joining us from Tokyo. Prime Minister Modi, on the eve of his visit to Japan, in fact, penned an editorial talking about shared values between the two countries. We'll see how the bilaterals eventually pan out. He's also interacting with members of the diaspora later today in Tokyo. Let's also listen in to what some children waiting for Prime Minister Modi to arrive in Tokyo have in fact had to say about this visit.
पांचवी कक्षा में पढ़ता हूँ। जापान में आपका बहुत स्वागत है। मेरा है सिग्नेचर।
तो कहाँ से सीख लिया तुमने हिंदी? हैं? बहुत अच्छा जानते हो। वाह। वाह, और जापानी में क्या लिखा है? ये 3 भाषा लिख दी।
मोदी जी
क्या नाम बेटा? हिंदी बोल लेती हो?
My name is Renika.
हाँ। वाह।
I'm studying in GIS. I'm studying in global. Very
क्या नाम बेटा?
श्रीमान, आप मेरे पापा को जानते होगी, मिस्टर रवि खंडेल का।
अच्छा, ओ।
मोदी जी सबको जानते हैं।
क्या नाम? नमस्ते बेटे, स्वागतम। लो, तुम्हारू स्वागत। वाह वाह।
Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan has been bringing us all the developments live from on the ground in Tokyo. Madhav, a short while ago you were talking about the ramifications of the Indo-Pacific Economic Partnership. Now, on his previous visit to Tokyo, Prime Minister Modi in fact spoke along with the then Prime Minister Shinzo Abe against Chinese expansionism in the South China Sea and the East China Sea. That's likely to be a recurrent topic that will be raised this time round as well.
Well, absolutely. And in fact, the Chinese expansionism is the major area of concern for all the Quad partners. And there's no doubt about it that whether we're talking about the Indian borders as far as the LAC is concerned, and attempts at incursions that have been seen in the past over there, or whether we're talking about the South China Sea, or we're talking about Taiwan or the Shikasa Islands, all of these are certainly important areas, which just goes to show a pattern of extreme aggression, unprovoked aggression, and an attempt to find influence beyond its own borders and within its own beyond its own what should be its own sovereign territory. And that is certainly something that has all the Quad partners which have in the past very clearly come out and spoken out against it. Now, when we're talking about the Indo-Pacific Economic Partnership, this in many ways is being seen as perhaps the most important meeting of the two-day visit of the Prime Minister here to Tokyo, because during this particular meeting, the four countries coming together and will give some kind of a contour to how this particular Indo-Pacific Economic Partnership will work. And it already, as we were talking earlier, Siddharth, has China completely rattled up, because you have a situation where China, which is looking at these four countries coming together as some sort of a challenge to or a check as far as its own issues pertaining to security are concerned, but also is looking at it as a huge threat when it comes to its own trade and other ties are concerned, and its own strength as far as the area of trade is concerned, because this is something that really could make a big impact as far as China is concerned. Not only do countries such as India have the capability to really become huge manufacturing hubs and have been growing in past years, but also, of course, as far as the Western dependence on China is concerned, countries such as US or Japan or Australia's dependence on China is concerned for raw materials and for goods, all of this could very severely be dented in the wake of such an alliance. But one will have to see what the contours of this are, how really this entire announcement takes place, and within another 10 to 15 minutes, a little more clarity on what really is intended as far as this economic partnership is concerned will be made public when, in fact, the leaders do come out and announce the contours of this economic partnership. Back to you, Siddharth.